Hey everybody, welcome in. If you're anything like me, you're always on the lookout for your next great horror game. Something fresh, spooky, and maybe even just a fucking little bit weird. So that's exactly what this series is going to be all about. Every few months, I'm going to be sharing a mix of hidden gems that you may not have heard of, whether it's on Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, wherever. It'll also be a mix of some bigger horror titles as well as some indie horror titles, and you can decide what's really worth your time. So grab your flashlight and let's talk horror games that you need to check out. Coming in at number 1 is the Complex Expedition. Now, I'd already played the demo before diving into the full game, so I was sure I knew what I was in for. But the second I loaded in, I realized things had changed. I was standing in this completely silent, unfamiliar, liminal world, and right away I got the feeling that I wasn't sure I was going to make it out of here. That's what this game does best though. It drops you into these yellow lit halls and endless open rooms that just feel normal at first glance, but something about them, it gnaws at you. And then it's gonna throw you a curveball. There was this one moment where I turned a corner and found a body slumped against the wall with black ooze just dripping down the floor and spattered across it. It was subtle, it's disturbing, and it keeps you on edge without having to scream it in your face. But what really impresses me is how immersive this whole world is. There's no overbearing dialogue or constant jump scares. This game lets you set your own pace, figure out your own path, and it rewards that sense of exploration. Sure, you're going to hear your character occasionally trying to reach his team on the radio, his voice getting more desperate as the static keeps coming back, but otherwise, it's just you, the space, and that creeping sense of isolation. It feels handcrafted to pull us in. And the good news is it's not just a one and done experience either. There's multiple endings here, which means you're encouraged to go back and try again, see different paths, maybe notice details you completely missed the first time through. And for a game that only costs about 15 bucks on Steam and often dips closer to 10 during sales, it's a fantastic value. Right now it's only on PC, but if you've got a rig that can run it, it's worth your time. If you're already deep into the backrooms or liminal space lore, you're gonna eat this up. But even if you're new to that whole rabbit hole, the Complex Expedition is easy to get into and will probably make you just as fascinated with the genre as the hardcore fans. It's unsettling in the best way, and it stuck with me long after I turned it off. Next up is Luto, and this one leads hard into the psychological side of horror. The first thing that hooked me wasn't even the visuals, it was the way that the story was told. You got your character, and then this narrator. It's a voice in your head that leads you through a cycle. Now, at first, it feels like it's guiding you, but as the cycle repeats, things start twisting. The world gets darker, more sinister, and you realize this voice isn't there to help. It's part of the trap. Now, I'd played the demo before, so I thought I knew what I was getting into, but Ludo surprised me. Aside from a few familiar touches, like those eerie sheet ghosts that lurk and crawl around, the full game takes things in a completely different direction. It's unsettling, and in the best way possible. This isn't a game that's trying to get you with cheap jump scares. I mean, sure, there's a few scattered throughout, but they're not the focus of the game. Instead, it's more of a slow psychological dive. You're trapped in this house, and as it shifts and changes around you, it becomes stressful just trying to navigate it. At times, it's so easy to feel like you're lost, like you're caught in a maze that doesn't want you to escape. Now, one thing that really stood out for me is how bold it is with breaking the fourth wall. There's actually a point in the game where it boots you back to the main menu and you have to restart it for the story to even continue. It's kind of clever and it plays with your expectations and keeps you off balance. Now, in terms of replayability, I'd call this a one and done experience. The story all just goes to the same ending, so once you've gone through it, there's not much of a reason to revisit it beyond maybe soaking in the atmosphere again. But honestly, that's okay. It works beautifully as a single emotional ride. If you're somebody who loves PT or Layers of Fear, or if you just enjoy horror walking simulators that are more about atmosphere and story than hiding from monsters, Ludo is absolutely worth checking out. It's creepy, unsettling, and at times even a little meta. It's not going to be for everyone, but for fans of psychological horror, this is one of the more interesting releases I've played in a while. For game number 3, we've got Ravenous, and honestly, I wasn't expecting too much going in, especially since it's a free-to-play game. But wow, the environment they built is genuinely unique. It didn't rely on the typical indie horror assets that you see everywhere, and right from the start, the vibe is tense. There was something hunting you in the dark forest at night, and then before you knew it, you were pulled into a cellar by whatever it was. It was legitimately terrifying. Now, the gameplay itself is simple but effective. It's mostly exploration with a few easy to solve puzzles sprinkled in. Nothing super complicated and just enough to keep you thinking. The puzzles are clever enough that you can figure them out without the game having to hold your hand, which keeps the tension high. In terms of immersion, I'd say it's a mix of both feeling trapped and observing the story unfold. The game is only about 30 minutes long, so it doesn't have time to sink you in super deep, but every second it does spend building tension, it's done extremely well. This is totally a one and done experience. It's just a short, creepy story, but it's perfect for just that. And honestly, it is an easy recommendation for anyone who just likes spooky experiences. If you enjoy walking simulators with glimpses of whatever was hunting you, clever little puzzles, and that tightly wound atmosphere that's so beautiful, Ravenous is absolutely worth your time, and it is currently available only on Steam, sadly. And finally on our list is The Black Within, and this one really caught me by surprise. Right from the start, you can tell that the developer put genuine thought into it. There's a well-crafted cutscene introducing your character from an outside perspective, and then you're thrown straight into the story, figuring out how you ended up in this position in the first place. And for an indie horror game on Steam, that level of effort is always promising. Hashtag if you know, you know. Gameplay-wise, it's definitely a walking simulator with puzzles. You've got your familiar setup, you're going into a house to try to find something or someone, and then suddenly you're trapped. You have to solve your way out by using puzzles to progress. The game spaces out the jump scares very nicely and builds tension effectively. Now, I will say, the second half feels just a tad less polished, and that's just me being nitpicky about it. It felt a little rushed, but that does not take away from the overall experience. It's still very engaging and creepy throughout. What I really liked is the theme behind it. The story isn't designed to give you a deep dive into your emotions, but it does a solid job at conveying exactly what it means to sell your soul for fame and fortune, albeit exaggerated with demons and ghosts. It's a neat way to ground that horror concept in a concept that feels familiar and relatable. Now, in terms of replayability, as for the last couple games, this is just a one-time experience. There's no collectibles and it's just a single ending. The game will take you about roughly 60 to 70 minutes to complete, so it makes it a nice little compact horror experience without overstaying its welcome. If you're a fan of walking simulators and just want a well-rounded, concise horror experience, The Black Within is a solid pick. Nothing to run from, but there might be an occasional statue that creeps up on you. It's going to deliver exactly what a short, polished horror adventure should. As I mentioned, you can find this game over on Steam. And so that will wrap up the first installment of horror games that you need to check out. We've explored everything from the uncanny liminal horrors of the Complex Expedition to the compact story-driven chills of The Black Within. And if any of these games appealed to you at all, make sure that you give them a try. I'm going to try to link them down below in the description, and if I don't, please just yell at me in the comments and be like, Jared, link the games, okay? Okay, thank you. This is a series that I would personally love to continue. It's an idea that popped into my head, and I was like, you know what? As somebody who plays a lot of horror games, this actually fits me pretty well. So I feel like this is something that I am decently qualified to deliver on. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and you hit that subscribe button. If you want to see more videos like this from me, make sure you let me know in the comments, and you can check out my entire library of horror games and horror playthroughs that I have done right here on this channel. You can also catch me over on Twitch playing games 2 to 3 times a week, and I also have 2 other channels. I got a racing channel and a variety horror channel. No, not a variety. Well, I mean, there's horror on the variety channel because it's like a really old channel, but I digress. It's a variety channel now. So everything you need down below in the description. Other than that, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys for my next recommendation list of horror games that I think you should experience.